A good Western is back in theaters, and all is right with the world. It's called Appaloosa, co-written and directed by and starring Ed Harris, who's back again. Congratulations on a wonderful film.
Thanks, Jeffrey.
I grew up watching Westerns. When New York had Channel 13, which is now a PBS station, all they show were these B-Westerns from Republic Pictures, and I knew all the names of those guys. Did you realize when you decided to make this film that you would have to play to the audience that not only is new to the Western genre, but that grew up loving Westerns and really expected a lot?
Yeah, I did know that. And I very intentionally, we wanted to make it much more in a classic vein and try to modernize it or anything. You know, it's based on a Robert Parker novel, and really it was very true to the story. And I really wanted these, to see, you feel the landscapes, feel this town that they were in, see people's full bodies, not just their heads, and relationships to one another and the space and time that they were living in.
If you'd been 50 years older, this might have been filmed on a back lot. This movie could not have been made the way it was made if you'd filmed it on a back lot. You had to go there to the dusty countryside of New Mexico and do it. Right. Is there any time when you say, boy, I wish we had the convenience of a back lot, or you were just glad you did it right where you did it?
I loved filming out there. You know, we were based in Santa Fe, but we shot all around there up north on the Chama River, and we had a great set. It was in the middle of this, 20,000 acre ranch, and we did a lot of work, very, very detailed, very specific work from the production designer, and the set decorators. And
you took the novel with you on a trip, on a vacation, I think.
Yeah, I was in Ireland.
Intending to make a Western?
No, not at all. I'd read some of Parker's books, mostly the Spencer crime novels, and I saw Robert B. Parker, and it was Appaloosa, it had a marshal's badge on the cover, and I said, that looks interesting. I had it with me, and I started reading this thing one afternoon. And the first couple scenes between my character and the one Viggo plays just tickled me to death, and I just said, God, this would be fun to do.
That's when you made the decision, right? At the beginning of the book.
Yeah, I hadn't even finished it.
Did you hope that it would stay that good a book? Because sometimes it can deteriorate at the end.
I had a sneaking suspicion that it would, and it did. Kept my interest, definitely.
Listen, you're a Tenafly, New Jersey native. You play for the Tenafly Tigers,
That's right?
But I forgot about that in the movie because I was seeing a Western hero. When did you feel comfortable in the Western genre? It's not the only thing you've done.
I actually started riding horses when Sam Shepard asked me to do Fool for Love. No, there's no horses on the stage, but the guy was supposed to be a broken down rodeo guy, and I wasn't really that familiar with horses. So I really I started riding, then got into it, and I've been riding off and on ever since. And I love the nature, and I love being outside, And
1981, a young Ed Harris is approached by a young critic on a New York subway station, and I said to you, I liked you in The Night Riders, that movie where there was jousting on motorcycles. I don't know, anything can happen on a subway. You see all these kind of weirdos walking up to you. You probably don't remember it, but I do remember the fact that you were somebody to watch early on. Then in 1983, you're on the cover of Newsweek. Not bad for the right stuff, right?
Yeah, right.
Not bad. How do you can't be blasé about that.
No, they kind of told me they were thinking about putting all 7 of us on there, and then they decided to put, John Glenn was running for president at the time, and the thing was, can a movie make a president? Obviously not.
Right.
But, it was kind of strange.
Now you kept the vest from Apollo 13, that white vest, I think, that you wore. What have you kept from Appaloosa?
I actually think that I did give that vest to some charity thing, auction deal.
All right, but what have you kept?
Appaloosa, I got my hat, I got my whole suit, I got my spurs, my boots, my gun, the whole deal, everything other than a horse.
When was it your decision to direct as well as star in it? Because that's twice the work, if not 3 times the work.
Well, right off the bat, it'd been 8 years since Pollock, and I kind of, I wasn't really looking for something to direct, but when I read this thing, I said, I just want to do this. I want to be in control of it. I want to shoot it the way I want to shoot it. I want to work with the people I want to work with. And it was a little bit of a tough sell in terms of setting it up because they don't make a lot of Westerns these days, and the studio's a little hesitant about, giving us the money we needed to do it, but we finally got what we needed. Not a dime more, But it had to have this production value. You had to have the train. You had to have...
In the past few years, there have been very few Westerns, but they've been good. Open Range comes to mind, and 3:10 to Yuma, and the one on HBO with Robert Duvall and Thomas Hayden Church. You still have to convince the studios that people still want to see quality Westerns. When is it going to be there? How many more good ones do we have to see that do well at the box office before they say, we have to make a Western? It'll be an easy process.
I don't know. I really don't. It's just a different age, They're making films $150, $200 million budgets, and that's kind of what they're hoping to get their big money from. I mean, if this film had cost half of what it cost, it would have been a lot easier, and they could have called it a little independent movie and, you know, put it in little theaters here and there. But it needed what it needed, you know.
Peppered through the movie are homages to other films. At least that's what this Western fan saw. For example, your feet up are on the railing, reminded me of Henry Fonda, Mike Donovan. Even though you didn't, if you had changed your feet, that would have been too obvious.
Yeah.
And then you get a mountain lion who looks into the camera. I mean, then you're the director saying, all right, cue the mountain lion. I mean, you got to step out of character. I mean, where'd you get the mountain lion, and how did that scene work?
It was a woman that had wild animal.
Where do you find these people?
Usually, you know, I don't know, man.
You look up mountain lions in the yellow pages?
I wanted a wolf, or a coyote, and then they were too unreliable.
And mountain lions you can count on?
Well, I figured a mountain lion would be better than a couple prairie dogs, you know, like watching the train go by.
Maybe a lower budget, right? And then you got to find an old-fashioned train. You have to do all those
brought
things.
the train in from Arkansas. You know, that was a big deal. We had to, you know, really cost a bit of money, but we really needed it, and we had to move it from track to track and put it on trucks and haul it over.
I wouldn't dream of giving any of this fine movie away, but in one scene, when you see the beginning of Gunsmoke, the two guys are standing and drawing, that didn't happen as often as myth would have it occur.
Yeah.
There were different kinds of shootouts then, and everybody here looked authentic, the way their beards were cut and all those kind of things. That was something you insisted on, I'll bet.
Yeah, I really wanted, you know, I wanted it to be authentic to the period, and I also wanted it to be authentic to the classic kind of Western, you know. In other words, I don't know if things really happen like this necessarily. You do all your research and everything, but you're also trying to tell a story and make an enjoyable film.
Early in your career, the New York Times said to you, compared you to Marlon Brando, the young Brando and his projection of an archetypical man, the type of man whose swagger doesn't have a trace of affection. Now, when you hear stuff like that, you say, I'll just send this to my agent and we'll use it in the next negotiations. Look, the New York Times compared me to Brando. Do you ignore those kind of things, or they're comforting?
I don't generally read reviews because...
You watch them, right?
No, or watch them, but I mean, it's great to get support, you know, but you know, I remember things that were said when I first started acting in theater, you know, 30-something years ago, where it's still in my head what some critique or some kind of little dig that some critic said. Who needs to carry that around with him?
Mel Brooks calls us the crickets, right? This is Ed Harris. The movie is called Appaloosa, and if you're a fan of Westerns, if the genre is new to you, if you love good movies about great men doing great things, this is the movie to see. It is nice to see you again.
Jeffrey, anytime. Thanks.
Thanks, partner.
All right.